Rudy Gobert is considered ground zero, with him being the NBA's patient zero with the news of his positive test for COVID-19 immediately leading to the league suspending its season on the night of March 11, 2020. Donovan Mitchell tested positive by the following day, and soon there were reports of frustration coming out of the Jazz locker room after Gobert had been careless leading up to his diagnosis, according to ESPN. There are now rumors surfacing that the relationship between Gobert and Mitchell is beyond repair. In this video, we'll be discussing what options does the Utah Jazz have and what hand will be forced if they have to make a trade in choosing either Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert. My name is Vernon F. Miller, and this is Sports News Stream, where we provide the latest content in sports. Please, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified of all the latest content we upload. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And please comment along with hitting that like button. We reply to all comments. Well, where do we start? Seems like there's some friction going on in the Utah Jazz locker room between All-Stars Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, the point guard and the center. As everyone may already know, Rudy Gobert was pretty much the first NBA player to contract COVID-19, the coronavirus, and he tested positive pretty much, I believe, on the 11th. The news came out on the 11th of March, which had the NBA immediately suspend the rest of the season or at least suspend the season until further notice. Following day, Donovan Mitchell it was reported that Donovan Mitchell had the coronavirus as well. And now, let's be very clear. There is no determining factor that Donovan Mitchell actually contracted the COVID-19 virus from Rudy Gobert. However, all fingers are pretty much pointing to the All-Star Center, being the fact that a lot of individuals considered him being somewhat careless and reckless after he was found positive for the virus. So that obviously frustrated quite a few individuals within the organization, including one Donovan Mitchell. Now, according to there was a lot of reports coming out of the Utah Jazz organization that the relationship between Mitchell and Gobert is unrepairable. There's no fixing it. Donovan Mitchell has even, at one point, he went on Good Morning America, I believe the 16th of March, and pretty much said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he was pretty hot. It took him a while to cool off. He's glad that Gobert is doing well, is recovering well, and for the most part, he's glad that it didn't go any further, the disease or the virus didn't go any further than him, Mitchell, and Gobert. So, with that being said, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Utah Jazz handles this situation. Obviously, if you're the Utah Jazz, you want to keep both players. I mean, Gobert is a two-time Defensive Player of the Year, NBA defensive team, NBA All-Time. I mean, this guy's his stats speak for themselves. I mean, it's All-Star. He's won the Defensive Player 2 years in a row: 2018, 2019, NBA All-Second Team, 2017, NBA All-Third Team, 2019. 3 times NBA All-Defensive First Team, 2017 to 2019, NBA Blocks Leader, 2017. So it goes on and on. The French Player of the Year, 2019. So he is definitely a legitimate top 5 center. Donovan Mitchell is an assassin from anywhere on the floor. He can finish at the rim, or he can kill you from the outside. Pretty much an all-around player. Definitely one of the cornerstones of the Utah Jazz, and would be a cornerstone or a foundational component on any team. So with that being said, being that this may not be something that's repairable, do the Utah Jazz consider moving one of these players? And if they do, who do they move? You got to look at the upside on both players. I think there's somewhat of a ceiling, definitely, for both players. It's just coming down to which ceiling is higher for whatever player. I probably would have to lean maybe towards Donovan Mitchell. I think he can definitely get better with his shooting. He can probably add a few more pieces to his offense and maybe even tighten up on his defense. You know, I mean, he's a solid defensive player, but if you're just talking about which ceilings are higher, I think you would have to lean towards Donovan Mitchell, because he can just add other elements to his game. You know, maybe a small post-up game, maybe a little half-court game, maybe improving on his threes, maybe finding a couple of more sweet spots on the floor, mid-range jumpers, more active hands on the defensive side. So I think there are some things that Mitchell could probably add to his game that would be more beneficial to the Utah Jazz than, let's say, Rudy Gobert, who's great shot blocker. He's definitely a defensive prowess at the rim. It's not really offensively somebody you would think of that's saying, hey, he doesn't, ooze or exude offense when you start thinking about offensive centers. He isn't a Joel Embiid or a Big Cat down in Minnesota. So that ceiling, I mean, you could possibly entertain, trying to maybe add some offensive pieces to Rudy Gobert, but I just don't see that being something that would come to fruition. I think pretty much Gobert is who he is. This is pretty much his ceiling, and this is pretty much what you're going to get out of him. You're going to get, he's averaging about a double-double, 15.1 points per game, 13.7 rebounds. So that's pretty much a double-double, and that's been from 62 games in this season. Meanwhile, Mitchell, 63 games into the season, 24 points a game, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, and he can add on to that. So if I'm going to trade anybody, it would have to be Gobert. I think you can always get a big man to go ahead and fill in that slot, but what you would also be getting for Gobert is probably a lot of pieces that could add to the team and add to your team that could definitely help you guys out in the long run. And you can always get a big man to fill up that slot, but it's now to the point now. A lot of these big men, they're not to the back type of guys anymore. They're more hybrid guys. Like a Joel Embiid, or like even a Draymond Green. These are your typical big men now. They're more versatile. They're more faster. They have a lot more skill sets. They're not the Dwight Howards to the back you down, turn around and dunk the ball. Those days are somewhat pretty much over with. So now it's more about, the small ball, the small players, but presenting a lot more skill set, especially from the mid-range to the 3 ball. So it's going to be interesting. And Utah could probably get a house, probably get the ranch for him, a couple of first rounds or some real good A-plus players for him, because right now his value is very high, and they can use that as leverage to pretty much get what they need to solidify themselves as a perennial contender in the West. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I do think that one of them could be out of there, especially if the relationship cannot be salvaged. I see one of them being out of there. So they probably want to go ahead and take advantage of that before these contracts start to expire and they can't get neither one of these guys to resign. So with that being said, let me know what you think in the comment box below. Do you see one of these guys getting traded? And if you do, who? Appreciate all the love and support. I know it's kind of a struggle right now because there's not a lot of sports going on. None at all, really. So definitely appreciate all the love and support. We're going to be coming out with a lot more videos, a lot more compilations. So get ready to be on the lookout for that. We're trying to get this channel monetized, so we definitely appreciate all the love and support. And if you're not a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to like and comment the video. And we're on to the next one.